Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. Now, 4 out of 10 individuals reported increased symptoms of anxiety, stress, and depression during the pandemic. Mindfulness apps have become more popular than ever. Our next guest this evening is preparing to launch an Islamic contemplation app within the next few weeks. This app aims to improve both your mental and spiritual well-being. Tonight, we'll be giving our viewers an exclusive sneak peek into the features that can be expected from this application. Joining us tonight is the co-founder and CEO of Ruh. A very warm welcome to Umar Khan. Assalamu alaikum, Umar.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you for hosting us today.
No, thank you for joining us. Also from Canada, we are crossing the Atlantic today to speak to our guests. And Jazakallah khair for joining us. Umar, very quickly, I suppose my first question is, what is Ruh? Tell us a bit more about Ruh.
It's a good question. Ruh is a contemplation app specifically designed for the Muslim community. Like you said, there's a lot of mindfulness apps out there, but none of them really address the spiritual component. And so what we wanted to do with Ruh is really address that unaddressed need. So we're inshallah integrating Islamic psychology and clinical mindfulness practices with the Islamic tradition to really bring about the concepts of mindfulness from within our own tradition and making that accessible, inshallah. So the big vision is to help improve the mental and spiritual well-being of the community. And it's really targeted towards like busy people, students, professionals, everyday users like you and I, inshallah, help increase our levels of happiness and well-being through contemplation, inshallah, through Ruh.
No, fantastic, Mashallah. And of course, you're the co-founder of this. So how did the idea come? Was it a case of you and your co-founder experienced certain issues yourself and thought, hey, this is something that's missing? Or like you say, because we know that's been the talk. I mean, even sitting on this couch over the last 2 years, the amount of times we've spoken about depression at home and people are locked at home and COVID has just changed the whole mindset in general. Was it a case of thinking, well, look, you know what, whilst we're talking about that, there's this beauty within Islam in the text and the scripture that we have, in the practice that we have, that can help us and bring the two together? What was that kind of thought process that you guys went through putting this together?
I think you nailed it, honestly. So there definitely has been an increased levels of awareness about mental health in the recent years. But, it really started from a personal need. So, as I'm sure everyone can relate, in the pandemic, we all faced higher mental health challenges. So I was no different. I, started using Headspace, which is one of the popular meditation apps out there. It did benefit me, but I always felt like there was something missing. Yeah. And so that's really when I started speaking with the chaplain. He connected me with a few people in the Muslim mental health space. We found that this was still a problem. And I met my friend Uzair, who had the specific idea. We put a team together. And very quickly, we in fact realized that there's a lot of people that share the same sentiment. When we spoke with our beta users, a lot of people mentioned the same thing, that they can't resonate with the current solutions out there. And some people, in fact, mentioned that they excluded themselves from the benefits of mindfulness because they associate being mindful with their faith, and they didn't find something that connects the two. And so that is really why, inshallah, we started Ruh to, fulfill that gap and make that, a contribution to the community.
No, fantastic, mashallah. Allah put barakah in your work. Of course, it's a great idea, great concept. But I suppose, what would be, say, if I was to log on and download this app, what could I expect to find there? What would be some of the key features, and what would be the things that you would recommend me to go onto if I were to download?
Absolutely. We have a lot of things planned. So one of the main features is the guided contemplation exercise from a more Islamic perspective. So here's a demo of the app. So when the user comes in, we welcome them. We ask them, how are they feeling today? And one of the good things with technology is that we can actually curate and personalize the experience for the user for this specific need. So for example, if I'm feeling stressed, I would select stress. Yeah. And here are a few recommendations from me. I could do a contemplation exercise. I could do a breathing exercise. Or I could, listen to a nature sound, just to relax. So let's, inshallah, continue with, our contemplation exercise here.
Okay, so we click one of these options. So let's have a click. We click on the next one. So, yep. Let's click away. Oh, no. Oh, there you go. We've clicked. There you go.
And so you have a number of tracks available for you to listen to. So these kind of tracks build upon each other, and we teach different techniques and tools for you to, inshallah, in this case, relieve stress. So in this case, let's inshallah go ahead with the second one, right? So self-acceptance is dua. So this is where you would learn about different, the psychoeducation components. So like to teaching you different concepts from psychology. We try different exercises out there to help you practice, and relieving your stress. We also have some contemplative questions to really intrinsically reframe your thought and process in your mind to inshallah reduce stress eventually.
And I can imagine that there's a lot of thought that went behind this then, because I mean, just looking at that, you're firstly, you're asking about the different type of emotions. You can see the different. I always get the word wrong. I always call it emojis, but I've been told it's emojis. But that just gives away my age drop, and I can't get a simple word like that right. So you see those kind of the emojis there, and then from that that kind of guides you to what to listen to, what to recite, what dua to make, and clearly there's a lot of thought that went through that. So as you were putting that together, was there some kind of was there advice that was given to you to say, hey, these ayahs are the best ones to recite for this kind of mood? How do you kind of marry the two together, shall we say, the mood with what they should be listening to, for example?
Yeah. So no, alhamdulillah, you're absolutely right. Like, a lot of times when we're going through different things, we're all different and we relate to different things at the different time. So alhamdulillah, we have a team of experts behind the scenes kind of making that, decisions and making that happen. So for example, like, in our content side, we have Dr. Farah Islam from the Yaqeen Institute, our co-founder. She's a mental health practitioner, and we also have a counselor on the team. We're also collaborating with content partners that are kind of making these decisions as well. So, for example, Sister Jinan Yusuf from Yaqeen Institute as well, kind of helping us with the Names of Allah series, reflecting on the names of Allah. Brother Wael Ibrahim, who has been in the porn addiction space for more than a decade now, helping write a series on curing porn addiction through contemplation. Nasiha Helpline, who is the largest Muslim mental health helpline in North America, writing a series on hopelessness for anyone that might be calling in and might need some hope. We also have advisors, like you said. It is an amana, it is a trust that we hold. So we have advisors that guide us from a both clinical perspective as well as an Islamic perspective to keep us in line. And alhamdulillah, finally, the beautiful voice of the app itself is Imam Yasin Dwyer. So he's the chaplain of the university, and he'll be the one welcoming you with a soothing, beautiful voice when you come into the app.
No, Masha, it sounds amazing. I remember just the other day being in the Jummah khutbah and the Imam using this as an example that, he goes, a lot of my congregation has come to me feeling stress, feeling depression. And he goes, I've been advised them to recite Quran. He specifically pushed us towards Surah Duha, for example, to say, there's a lot of messages within them. And it's great to see this app now, as though it's just a follow-up, even just from a personal journey here, of having this kind of conversation with the Imam. Just 2 weeks ago, I remember having this conversation with him after Jummah, when he said this in his khutbah. Now, I suppose, because right now, a lot of people, and we've seen this on this show as well, we've been doing a lot about mindfulness, about well-being. How does this differ from that? Because we do get a lot of people coming in, they're talking about mindfulness, well-being in work, in home, etc., etc. But combining that from a faith perspective, what would you say makes that key difference between conventional and from religious perspective, or Islamic perspective, rather?
That is a very, very good question. And I'm sure a lot of people have the same thought. Traditional mindfulness practices we see today, which are popular, are more rooting from the Buddhist traditions and other traditions. They are popularized by the West and have started becoming more secular in nature. And it is a lot about, being aware non-judgmentally in the present moment. And those are all well and good, but, it's incomplete without God being in the picture. And sometimes, you might be in a complete state of silence, and it literally is the state of ghafla or heedlessness, which Muslims aren't supposed to be in. So it might, in some ways, might even not be in line with our values as Muslims. And so the difference here with Islamic contemplation is that the end goal isn't really relaxation, but rather, by contemplating on the creation of Allah, His names, and so on, the goal is really to connect better with Allah. So that's really the end goal. And one other main difference I can maybe highlight is, just the word mindfulness. You can think it's all about the mind. A lot of the focus is on the mind. Yes. Whereas in Islamic contemplation, a lot of the verses you'll find in the Quran talk about the qalb, the heart. And, verily in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find ease, right? So the focus of Islamic contemplation is more on the heart.
That's so interesting, because it's, like you say, that it's about thinking from your heart. We always say, let the heart lead. It's that love of Allah, love of the deen, which helps us. It's almost like sometimes we neglect that side, right? But subhanAllah, we were going through the kind of the app and all the bits and pieces. But is there an example that you could give us that, what would one of those sessions entail? What would once I've clicked on the final piece, I've gone through my emotions, selected the piece, what would that session then entail for people who are watching this? What could they expect to see there?
Absolutely. Maybe I can give an example from one of my personal favorite sessions,
Yes, please.
which is mindful prayer. So we are using concepts of visualization from psychology to, inshallah, help improve concentration in prayer. So an example is how, you can imagine on the back of your hand, maybe all the worldly desires, thoughts, and despairs are on the back of your hand. And as you're saying Allahu Akbar, you're visualizing that all of these are now behind me. And as I'm saying Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest, I'm starting my prayer that, hey, you know what? Everything's worldly is behind me, and now this is my time with Allah. So just having that visualization at the start of the prayer can really help you. And another visualization example from the series is how we are all very far apart as an ummah, but we're all praying in the same direction. So it's as if there are concentric circles all across the globe. So we're connected in a way, in this beautiful form of worship. And my personal, beautiful thing about this, my favorite thing about this is, as we're visualizing this, behind the scenes, we're playing bird sounds and adhan recorded from Medina. So it really induces this feeling of serenity and a connection to our beloved place. Amazing. So it really is a beautiful experience. I would love to invite all of you to try it out for yourself.
Inshallah. And of course, the future is that it's exciting news, right? Because it's launching in 2 weeks. Tell us more about that. What's going to happen for this big launch? How can we find out more?
Inshallah. So we have the app ready. It's being tested out with the beta users right now, and the feedback we have been getting is amazing. People trying out just a couple of sessions and feeling a renewed sense of purpose. So that's the kind of feedback we want to scale with the launch and globally. So if you want to try out the app, you can go to the website ruhapp.io, ruhapp.io, or follow us on social media at Ruh App. And inshallah, we'll be launching very soon. So it's going to be in March sometime. And by following us on social media, we're going to have very special campaigns coming up for the launch. So there's going to be something for everyone to take away from that. So definitely follow us there.
No, fantastic. Umar, thank you so much. And perfect timing, because Ramadan is around the corner. I think we can all certainly benefit from that. Umar, amazing concept. Absolutely love it. I'll be downloading the app myself, inshallah. And thank you for joining us all the way from Canada. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Likewise, it's been a pleasure. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Well, folks, it is time for another break. It's going to be very short break, because there's still so much more to come when we return.